Welcome to the Think Factory podcast. We got one question for you. What keeps you up at night?
Well, this is Chris Santamassimo again, live from the Printing United Expo on the Think Factory podcast, powered by OGC Solutions. And I'm happy again to have met another friend and brought him to the podcast. With me right now is Manuel Merkt, who's the president USA for Zund.
Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Of course.
So Manuel and I actually had the privilege of meeting about a week or two ago at their beautiful demo center in Wisconsin. So I'm a little bit biased, maybe, having been just awed by the demo center and the products. And I keep joking with Manuel that one of the things they have in their demo center is a fire coat, a firefighter's gear that was actually, the pieces were actually cut on a Zund device. I'll let Manuel talk to you a little bit about that, but let's just, for the benefit of the podcast listeners, let's talk about Zund and your presence in the U.S. and the history, etc. So let it rip.
Well, again, thank you very much for having me on the podcast, and also thank you for coming to Oak Creek a couple weeks ago. It's always better to talk about our company to people that already seen our facility there, because we can offer a lot. So Zund America, or Zund USA, really covers America and Canada right now. We are the subsidiary of a Swiss-based machine builder. So Zund in Switzerland manufactures all our cutters. Zund America, we're really here to sell the machines, but also provide technical support, application support, spare parts to customers here in the US and Canada.
Well, and as I said to you when I saw these cutters that Zund makes, I mean, I guess the good news, bad news for Zund is that they seem to last a really long time and do really, really well. So
yeah, that's true. In fact, I counted it. So yesterday, so we're here at the Printing United show, right? And the first day, I counted 5 people coming up to me and telling me that our cutters last way too long. That's a good problem to have, but also obviously our sales team, they would like to put new cutters in once in a while.
Great.
So
I told you that anecdote about the Maytag repairman where he sits around with nothing to do.
Yes.
So it's a little bit like that. But but speaking of service, though, I mean that's really a key to success, whether you're in the U.S. or in Europe, is having a service team that can make sure that the equipment is always up and running and doing well.
Correct. And so our service team is decentralized. So yes, our headquarters is in Wisconsin, but our service technicians are all over the U.S. We have a guy in Canada. We have people on the East Coast, West Coast, in the middle. Wherever our customers are, that's where we have our service technicians.
Yeah. Well, what's also interesting to me, anyway, as a observer, I guess, of the printing industry, or even though I'm involved in it on the legal side, is that is all the technology and this convergence from what people think about as traditional offset print into all these amazing devices. And what I also think is great about it, especially when you talk about Zund products, is that this concern in the industry about reliance on labor and the inability to find enough labor to do the jobs, the type of products that Zund offers really takes some of the pressure off your customers in terms of reliance on labor, doesn't it?
That's true. And what I I'm always excited to see what our customers do with our machines, how we can help them solve their daily problems. They might purchase our cutter for one specific application, but after a short period of time, they figure out, hey, we can do so much more with it. We can make our own packaging. We can cut this and that, and it's not just for fabrics or not just for cardboard. We can cut so many different materials, and the modularity of our machines is amazing. So you can just replace the modules, the tools, and you can cut something completely different.
And that's also a concern of commercial printers, is they want to be able to venture into new areas to expand. Maybe one side of the business contracts while the other grows. If you've got flexibility in the equipment, like you're discussing, that really empowers printers to be different. Don't you think?
Correct. So last night I had a conversation with a new customer of ours. He actually purchased a used machine out in the market, but he approached me and he said, "I just have to tell you the story. We knew about Zund, we knew what you can do on the graphic side, but we came to your facility, they came over last year, they saw what else we can do on the handling side, so sheet feeding material onto the table, and that really sold them. They went out in the market, they found a used one, but they still used us for installation and service, so we took them on in our family, of course, and he said it was the best decision they've ever made. Of course, he told me that, but I believe that because he was able to get a lot more contracts now that he was never be able to quote on before.
Well, why would he find you and tell you a story like that if it weren't true, right?
True.
Yeah, but it's true. I mean,
we're humble, you know.
Of course. But you shouldn't be, considering how cool your products are. In fact, I know that you're simulcasting your latest release.
Correct.
Right here. So you're doing the demos in Wisconsin, but actually showing the showing
stream.
Exactly. Tell us a little bit about that product.
So the Q line is a Q line with BHS 180 stands for board handling system. So it's a brand new generation of cutters for us. It's way faster, way more stable, can handle a lot more work in a short period of time. It's fully automated, sell right now for the packaging industry. So loads a board. We have an undercam, so everything is scanned from the bottom. So all the printed side is on the bottom so that we can crease and cut from the top, which is a big advantage to later on fold the boards. We introduced that machine a couple of weeks ago at our digital cutting days in Oak Creek, Wisconsin. Unfortunately, we could not bring the machine here. It's just too big. So we set up a live stream right into our showroom in Oak Creek, and we show that here at the show. And so far, every seat has been taken for every demonstration we do. So
that's a good
it's
sign.
Good success.
For sure. But you know what's interesting, too? People that listen to this shouldn't think that your equipment is so large that it's unwieldy or that it's actually, for what it does, fairly compact, though.
Yeah. I mean, it really depends on what you need, right? We can do smaller machines, bigger machines, depending on the size of material you want to put on. It was just a matter of the logistics to get that machine here to show. It's just not that simple. So that was the only reason.
Exactly. But the ability to just load up the machine and let it run by itself and let that operator do something else, maybe doing 2 and 3 jobs or working on 2 and 3 pieces of equipment at the same time has got to be a dramatic increase.
And it runs all night long. I mean, we also here at the booth right now, we show a porter table solution because it's a small robot that takes the data from the cut file and really can pick and also sort smaller items right off the table and sort them into bins, for example. Right. That has been a big hit. So people stop. They haven't seen anything like that before. So that has been a big success for us as well. Like I said, automation is more and more important also in our industry. And I think we're on the forefront.
For sure.
Yeah.
You know what I think is interesting, it's not as if you're trying to displace people from jobs.
No.
Especially today, I know one of the focuses of the show is on labor and workers. And for me, it gives employees the ability to rise up and do more interesting tasks, right?
Yeah, correct. So maybe a little bit about my history. So I was born and raised in Germany. A little bit of a different culture in Germany. We still have very strong apprenticeship programs that we run. And every company over in Germany, no matter if it's a plumber, a machine tool company, a carpenter, they all have apprentices. We were kind of missing this here in the US a little bit. So that's why it is even more important that we help our customers to overcome that issue with smart solutions. But again, we're not replacing anybody. We're going to make sure that the people that are in the company grow up. We train them so they can actually run our equipment, maintain potentially the equipment, but it's not the robot doesn't necessarily replace a person. It just replaces the repetitive work they had to do in the past. Now they concentrate more on more complicated work.
Yeah,
for example,
or more things that actually are intellectually interesting, right?
Correct.
Rather than sitting and doing that very menial task, because that's the most difficult type of work to find people for, because it's not fulfilling. But to your point, if they can become, a senior operator or do something with their brain more than their hands, in a sense, I think that's a win for everybody. In addition to the efficiency, for sure.
And that's what we offer. I mean, and we see an uptick in that quite a bit. So we provide customer training on the applications themselves. So they come to our facility. Sometimes we go to their facility. We observe what they do right now. We provide them training, but then also consulting on how they can do certain things better. How should they cut a certain file? How they handle the material? So we're trying really hard to be their consultant in terms of workflow and effective profitability.
Well, it's a total value proposition, don't you think? If you can bring that additional knowledge and thinking from your entire assortment of customers to the benefit of your new ones, everybody wins that way.
Correct.
Right. Yeah, I think it's really important. I think, especially when it's such a competitive market, to stand out some way. And what better way to do it than bring in additional value to the customers, for sure.
Because the machines, I mean, eventually you reach a physical limit on the speeds and feeds you can have, and others pick up on that as well. So you really have to differentiate by the service you provide and the support you can offer to your customers.
Yeah, and I think it creates this nice circular connection where you've got service, you've got the consulting, and also the cutting edge products.
Correct.
It really comes together.
I mean, it helps to have a good product.
100%. Yeah, you're not. What do they say? That sales makes the first sale, and then service and the consulting makes the rest of them, right?
And that's great to see, even also at a show like that. We have service technicians on the booth, we have application engineers on the booth, and they interact with the customer because they know them. Again, after the first sale, those are the ones that interact with them way more. So yeah, it's great to see that mingling as well.
So what do you see as in addition to the great new equipment that you've released, Manuel, what do you see as an opportunity in 2024 and beyond?
Again, it comes to the software side of things. So we're just releasing a new software for all our products. It's a Cut Center 4. That's what makes the machine run. It is way more sophisticated than what we had in the past, and really helping our customers support with the software and helping them getting better in what they do. And that's really what we're going to focus on. Again, we have the new machine, the Q line. We still have our existing third generation cutters, but we're going to focus on having enough manpower to help our customers do the best with their equipment.
Yeah, just get those incremental gains on productivity, which is critical for sure. What do you see, and I'll end with this, what keeps you up at night about the industry, or what do you see as maybe challenges that are something to plan for and overcome?
So right now, what keeps me up is a little bit of a slowdown in the economy in general, not just in our industry, but in general. I see hesitation and people investing in capital equipment. I'm sure we can overcome that relatively soon. I don't know what that means for 2024, but there's a little bit of uncertainty for sure.
Yeah, I think we've seen that uncertainty for a couple of years now, for sure. But going back to the value proposition, though, if you can prove value, I think at least in your segment, you guys are going to be okay, and you're able, obviously, to do that. So
exactly, and in those times, and that helped us also during COVID, and we might not sell a lot of equipment, but we're stepping up our game in terms of customer support, making sure that the customers use their existing equipment as much as they can, and customers always need service and they need consumables. So those things are going to run the same way.
Right.
It's just the new side of it.
Yeah. Well, let's keep our fingers crossed for success in 2024. And I will say, just in closing, that if the energy and the vibe that we have here at the show is any indication, I think 2024 is going to be okay.
I believe that too. Yes.
Sure. Well, Manuel, thank you so much for sharing today and just being a great spokesperson for a great line of products.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
So again, this is Manuel Merkt, the President USA for Zund, and you can visit him at the, as I said, a really impressive demo center in Oak Creek, Wisconsin. And just to close, this is Chris Santomassimo from OGC Solutions, and we power the Think Factory podcast. We'll see you next time.